It's a bird, it's a plane, it's a flying canine, it's a WolfHawk. It's a swooping, snarling, no use hollering WolfHawk. In the burning sun, even outlaws run when they hear that screeching howl. WolfHawk.
Welcome to WolfHawk Comedy Podcast.
I'm Elliot Broder.
I'm Lizzy Wolfson.
And I'm Mac Hawkburns.
And we're super excited to have our guest today.
Another man of the South.
Yeah, another man of the South. We'd love that. I was trying to impress him today, so I wore my camo.
Hell, is that real tree?
Yeah, it's real tree.
I definitely noticed that.
It's real tree. This is me pandering.
Y'all, well, welcome to
Don't
the
you
pod.
think so?
Yeah.
You've seen him on Dry Bar. You've seen him on Don't Tell Comedy. He's here now, but we're gonna lose him here soon to the Big Apple. We're excited
Derrick
to have
Stroup,
you guys. Give it
welcome
up for
to
Derrick
the pod.
Stroup.
Hey, how y'all
Hell
doing? Thanks for
yeah.
having me.
Thank you so much for
I'm excited
for fitting us
I've
into
done
your
like 3
busy
podcasts
schedule.
in my life.
Oh, really?
So this is
Really? Wow.
I don't ever do them.
We get you at the beginning. Dude.
Yeah, so this is exciting.
Hell yeah.
Well, yeah, we're so glad that you
Is it good pandering?
agreed to do it.
Yeah.
I did a good job.
No, you did.
I was gonna wear Carhartt, but it's too hot.
I'm used to that. Adam Caton Holland just came out with a joke about it, but I have to get it more about. He gets in an Uber,
Yeah.
and then they have country music playing every time, and I'm like, if you think Adam Caton Holland gets country music when he gets in an Uber, they do it right to my face. They'll hear me say a sentence, and then
Change
they'll
it?
switch to
Right.
Alan Jackson.
They just like hand you like a spit cup. They're like, here, you probably want
Yeah,
this cup with a napkin in the bottom.
exactly.
Here's a bottle of water and an empty bottle of water.
A lot of people projecting on my accent.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
No, I actually bought these like 6 months ago and I haven't worn them. I got 2 of them. Two different camos. They're like $7.
Yeah.
I think they're
Camo's
fun.
in. It's hip.
I'm just trying to hide my fat. That's all. That's just trying to camouflage my fat.
When we were in school, me and Elliot both grew up in Alabama, which I'm
South,
sure y'all
yeah.
know he grew up in Alabama. But when
Every
I've discussed it a
episode,
time or two.
he says
yeah,
it.
so when we were growing up, it was almost like the country kids wore the camo,
Yeah.
and then like some like emo kids would like show up with like some camo. It would like it was like a little bit of a fashion thing.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely.
It's always
Especially,
been
like,
in vogue.
Yeah, I mean, I even had some of my black friends. They didn't hunt ever.
Yeah.
yeah,
They would
were
they
rocking
would show up in
camo
full,
cargo shorts.
Exactly.
Cargo
there's
shorts.
a little bit of a fad to camo. I don't wear it because it's too on brand.
Yeah.
Like I can't wear it and anybody goes, there's a little fashion involved. Everybody's
Right.
gonna see me wearing camo and go, I wonder if he killed anything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
when-
yeah.
Is it even the right
Did
season?
he just
Is
get back from the hunting trip?
he
That's what it
poaching?
looks like.
Yeah.
There's
Dude,
blood on
It's
there.
funny because actually I bought some camouflage. This is a funny story. I bought some camouflage.
Yeah.
And my lady, kind of for the same reason, she was really upset that I like, bought camouflage.
It's
She,
too on brand.
she was like, I don't want to be seen. Like, I don't want you to wear that if you're like with me
Yeah.
out or whatever. And I was like, come on.
Hurt your feelings a little
They
bit?
hurt. Oh.
No, I mean, well, I
You
didn't
weren't
really
on the
buy it for that
podcast, you were.
purpose.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
she was like, yeah, she was really upset about it for whatever reason. And yeah, I think she's like, yeah, I just don't want people to see me with you and I guess think I'm,
And then
like,
you go, well, the thing
backwards.
is that you're missing is they're not gonna see me.
Yeah, they're not going to see
Okay?
it.
Hide
This is pretty decent camo.
Yeah, this is.
And if I'm around the right tree line,
You won't see it.
I
I'm
shouldn't
in.
be noticeable.
I'm in, yeah, basically.
Yeah, that's good.
But it's, it's a nice durable
and
shirt.
you're a fisherman. I feel like you do a lot
I know.
of camo
Oh, and
stuff.
that's what I found more and
Right?
more. The fish, they can see you.
Oh, for
Can they?
sure.
Oh,
they?
yeah, especially fly fishing in clear
Yeah,
water,
yeah,
dude.
yeah.
Like,
The clear, shallow water.
yeah.
Really? What were other things where you guys were growing up in Alabama that you feel like have come back in vogue besides the normal thing that you talk about, like
Yeah,
Carhartt
I
and
was going to
stuff?
say, I've definitely talked about a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
know.
it.
Besides Carhartt.
Yeah.
But do you see any like? I mean, definitely
It would
hiking
be-
boots. Hiking boots. I feel like you see around.
I mean, a lot of the same trends
know.
we had, the rest of the country had.
Okay.
We
The
might have
South's
got them
not
a
that
little
different.
later.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a unique fashion that
Pearl snaps are very in.
Yeah, pearl
Yeah.
snaps for me, I feel like are more of a Texas thing. I mean,
Okay.
Western.
because that goes well with a cowboy hat. I didn't like grow up around cowboys necessarily. It'd be
Okay.
more like country folk. And the difference would be, unfortunately, Lizzy, the horses.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the part that I love the most.
Exactly.
Actually.
Just not a lot of horse involved.
More like, four-wheeler rider.
Four-wheelers,
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
I don't
Well, you
know.
guys
though. I
also have
think-
smaller ranches down there, so that's a big thing too. So Texas, Colorado, like the mountain states and stuff
Yeah.
like that. The land is bigger because there's less grass,
Yeah.
and so they need more room to
Absolutely.
eat. But you guys are a little bit more lush down there,
For sure.
and
Yeah.
so So you can have a smaller place and still run that same amount of cattle because they could eat, which means you need less hands, really, to help.
And I feel like in a state like Alabama, crops being so important, every inch of land was almost used to grow food.
Right.
So a lot of agriculture.
Yeah. So there wasn't so much of just like open land for horses.
Right.
Back in the day, they'd been like, that'd be a good area for some soy.
Yeah, right. A lot of soy.
Or some peanuts or whatever.
We had a comic on who talked a lot about tobacco in Tennessee. Where is she from? Kentucky.
Yeah.
Kentucky.
I have family from Meade County, Kentucky, and they grew tobacco
and that was their whole
life. Yeah. I mean...
Tobacco growers, you can make money on a small acreage, though. That is one of the few crops left.
Wow. I mean, I did not know that.
You don't need a big, because it's so
like
plentiful?
the amount per acre that they make. Yeah, like they make, like a tobacco guy makes the same as a corn person with like hundreds of acres.
Oh, wow.
With 10 acres or 5 acres or whatever. Because
that's the move.
I didn't know that.
Because it's drugs. I mean, it's.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, right.
And now, I mean, cigarettes aren't cheap.
No. And the plants are big, so I mean, I don't know how many packs. You're probably getting at least a couple packs like per stalk. You
think so?
I mean, I don't know. I guess I've never.
You think the cigarettes that they sell in the United States, you think it's all American tobacco?
I mean, it is on some brands.
Some brands.
Otherwise, they're lying on their packaging. But I mean, tobacco does though. Like it's our crop. Like it's native to the U.S. and it's hard as fuck to grow and. So, I mean, I think even in other countries, they seek out probably American tobacco because it's...
Oh, they want to get our tobacco over there.
It's like whiskey,
They really duped us with the cigarette movement in this regard. They had us quit smoking when the world seemed okay.
Right.
And the world caught on fire, and now none of us have any cigarettes.
And now we have vapes.
And now it's like we and I talk about this. Unfortunately, I'm semi running a new bit, but that I do. But it is true. We smoked cigarettes at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Now it's like. They're like, if you smoke cigarettes, you're gonna die at 64.
Yeah.
And I go, well, give me a couple.
Yeah. I don't have a retirement. I don't have a 401k.
I'm not trying to live to be 86 to see how this movie ends.
Yeah, it was a little bit cheaper.
Let me go out when I'm still feeling decent.
Yeah. Oh, will it make me dumber also?
Yeah. Yeah, that's perfect.
Bummer.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Love that. I love that.
But they had people quit smoking cigarettes in the 90s, and the economy was strong.
Yeah.
Healthcare was affordable.
Yeah.
Houses
were affordable. Somebody told me the other day that we went to a show and it was back in the area that I live in, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I bought my house for like $80,000 in that area." He's like, "But I sold it for $600,000." And I was like, "Cool,
$6
great."
million.
I mean, it's so hard not to be incredibly jealous when people say it's like so crazy.
God, they had it so good.
I'm never going to own a home.
Well, I just like how boomers are just like, you guys have to just work harder. And it's like, it was cheaper. Shut up.
Yeah.
It was just fucking cheaper. Don't act like we're not working hard. That's not
Don't
fair.
act like we're not working hard.
Yeah. I slept until like 11 today. Relax.
Yeah,
Boomers. What are you guys doing? Shift work? Relax.
Yeah.
It's fine.
You can't spend money while you're sleeping. That's a hack.
That is a hack.
Don't tell
you don't. Yeah. That's a good thing about sleeping.
$0 spent the whole time you're asleep.
And you'll be spending a lot of money when you're in New York because you have to spend like $40 every time you leave the apartment.
You do.
You have to You have to do
40
Subway.
if you're budgeting.
Yeah, no Subway,
no, I get a Subway
Lyft,
pass.
Yeah,
sandwich?
the annual. What does an annual Subway pass cost anymore? It's probably a lot, right?
I think it's monthly. My mom was doing monthly.
I don't think it's too crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, learning how to ride the subway was quite the experience.
It still is. I used to live there. I still don't know how to do it. I was there last week, and I didn't know if I was on the right track.
I stood at the top of the stairs to walk down for like 30 minutes.
Really?
Like a kid is scared of a high dive.
Oh.
Yeah, I was just like, I don't know.
There's gonna be criminals down here. I'm pretty sure.
Well, when you grow up where I grew up, the only time you see anything about subways is in movies, and it's all horrific.
Right.
True,
It's like there's never like a subway scene where somebody's finding the love of their life.
No.
It's like it's
like Ghostbusters.
My kid's on that train. Quick.
Yeah.
No. Oh, that guy took my kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting. But no, it is going to be expensive in New York. But I'm excited.
My issue with the subway is which direction are you going?
Yeah,
that's the confusing part because there's all the subway entrances on all the corners, and then I get confused, and I'm like, am I going away from where I want to go, or am I going towards where I want to go? And Google Maps is very helpful, but it's still fucking confusing.
Yeah.
Some people you can put me in the middle of nowhere, and I can go and find the cows and then come back home and then go find them again, I'd be fine. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But the subway, I'm like, I think this is correct. I maybe, or I'll just get off the next stop. It's a lot of getting off the next stop and walking around.
No, I'm gonna have a lot of that.
But
For
what
sure.
I think we talked about this. Oh yeah, we did talk about this. I don't know. The food though.
Yeah.
The delis.
I'm so excited.
I got a chopped cheese at 11:30
I love chopped
night.
cheese.
So good.
Love a chopped cheese sandwich.
Oof. I
Wait
was just
till
in the
I
back of
figure
a
out-
lift.
Wait till I can figure out all the things that I can do. I'm still pretty green. I'm just walking in going,
Yeah.
chopped cheese, please.
Yeah.
But wait till I
Yeah,
go.
you
Let me do
even
a little. How about lettuce? How about a little mayonnaise? Let's
Yeah.
do a little.
Some
Y'all got
sauce.
pimento cheese? Hell, let's do that.
Yeah.
Wait till I figure my way out around that bodega. I'm gonna start getting dirty. Y'all put a little. Hey, the Aki way. Put some Doritos on that son of a bitch. Let's show out. You know what I mean? Here's the thing. The food is what I'm excited about. But we all know this living in Denver. There's no good food late at night.
No.
So I'm excited
No.
to be able to eat when I want to eat because as a comedian, my schedule of eating
Whenever.
is horrific. I like to eat. I went on vacation with my family in May.
Yeah.
We went down to Florida, and when we would go out to eat at night, that was the argument we got in. They wanted to eat at 7. I had lunch at 4:30. I can't.
I'm not hungry
I had
yet.
breakfast right before I came
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
basically.
You're on me too quick. And my mom's like, who eats at 9 p.m., Derrick? And I'm like, everybody besides who lives in Harvest, Alabama. Like, some people keep their living room lights on past 10 p.m.,
Yeah.
Stacy.
The entire country of Spain.
Yeah, everybody.
Yeah.
I go to bed at 1:30 every night. I try to go to bed at by 1.
Yeah.
So if I eat at 9 or 10, it's not the same as a regular person eating at 9 or 10 who's going to bed at 11.
Yeah,
I've got
yeah,
some
yeah.
runway here.
It's absolutely.
I'm not putting this plane down for 3 or 4 hours.
You can't change your whole schedule for one trip. You know what I mean? Because it's harder to get back the other way.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
It's harder to stay up late than it is to go to bed early.
Yeah, the Denver
you know?
food scene is
Bad.
It's the biggest it's the most lacking thing in this city.
it's
Yeah.
bad.
The food is just
Yeah, it is. Now where it changes, and this is where people will argue with you, is there is like this strong high-end restaurant scene.
Sure.
Okay.
There's a price
But
point.
we're not, as comedians and like as the normal people, we don't know anything about that. I just know this because I'm pretty obsessed with food. I do some reading, and
Yeah.
and the people that defend this city, they're talking about 4 or 5-star restaurants. We do have some of those.
Oh, yeah.
I'm talking about mom and pop shops.
Yeah.
I'm talking about sandwich shops on the corner. I'm talking about the Italian family here. I'm talking about
Yeah, yeah.
culture. And that's where it lasts.
Well, also with the hole in the walls too, some people be like, "Oh, this is the best Cuban place," and you're like, "Oh, cool. Where is it?" 30 minutes away in Littleton. It's like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
this isn't like convenient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, late night. I mean, I lived next to the Breakfast King. Rest in peace, which was like
I knew it
one of
well.
the few diner
Oh, in
late night
Inglewood, yeah.
spots down
Yeah,
by
yeah.
me, and that place was great. But also, I think it was partially so popular because there's just after. It's getting a little better, but there's very few places open 24 hours.
24
for
hours.
food.
No,
Yeah,
not
I
a
don't
chance.
even know.
I
Yeah.
mean, even like midnight,
Yeah.
you're like,
It's
God,
really tough.
It's getting slim.
Yeah,
I went to a 24-hour place in Indianapolis when I was there, and we had asked a bunch of people that lived there. We said, "Where's the best gay bar?" And they said, "Oh, it's this 24-hour bar." We're like, "This is great." We walked in. It was a fucking Denny's, dude. It was a fucking diner. Everybody was sitting down.
Denny's?
No, but it was
I
like.
was hoping.
It was, yeah. They
Gay
just sent us
Denny's?
to a Denny's, and they were
Yeah.
like, "They're pretty gay back there, actually." Like, are you just trying to get your dick sucked? Like, just do that in the back. This is just a regular
Oh
Denny's.
man, I wish I would have just heard it the way I did the first time.
Yeah.
Wait,
No,
You
it
want a
was
gay
just a-
friendly place?
Yeah.
Denny's.
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 It's like, how'd you come up with
They
that?
like your kind there.
Yeah.
No, but you're so right about with the 24-hour places.
That's hard to find.
Yeah, but here's a hot take. 24-hour places scare me a little bit. I'd rather you close at 3 a.m.
Because at least
The
people
fact
are
that you
sleeping.
don't ever
Yeah,
close
yeah.
makes me think everybody that's working here is on a bender and like
Yeah,
just
yeah.
it's off the rails and who
Yeah.
knows. But if I know that at one point somebody's going to turn off these lights for a few hours and count the drawers
Right.
and take a look around.
They're gonna lock the door at some point.
But when I go into a place that's like 24 hours, the light's like flickering and the lady comes up with a cigarette, I'm like, I mean, I'm looking for something similar.
Yeah. Yeah.
24 hours is tough.
That's
Dude,
a lot.
I was thinking the other day, it'd be cool if you had a breakfast place that was open from midnight until noon.
Oh, there you go.
Wow.
Yeah, just do a
I
good
love that
12-hour
so
Get the,
much.
shift.
get the late night. And then
14-hour
you
shift.
can have it as a 1 hour. You can have it as a single shift. You know.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
you could
yeah.
have some openers. You can have
That's a
people
good
get there
idea.
a little early.
Well,
I mean, one shift would be insane
Yeah.
for a waitress.
No, I mean,
12 hours?
yeah. But you're also getting there before and leaving after. So that'd be way more. It'd be 14. It's insane.
True,
Yeah, that would be nuts.
That's nuts.
Yeah,
That would be
Well, I was
that would
just
be
in
scary.
case Elliot opened one, I was going to say,
Yeah,
hey,
no.
your workers are going to hate that.
Yeah, I mean, we'd probably have
Maybe
two.
we bring
Do
in
2. Let's do
Two.
16 hours, 2, 8, and 8, which should be good.
2, 8, and
But
8,
also the
yeah.
bars in New York close at 4.
Oh, yeah.
So that's also different too. So some places that are open late, it's just because also people are coming out of the bars on certain night, you know, and
True.
you see people. But honestly, the food trucks are still, they fucking hit a little different than they do here.
For sure.
You know, when you find the right ones and stuff
There's
that.
some food trucks in Denver that are pretty strong.
Yeah. They got pot food
Dude, you know what
trucks.
used to be my favorite?
You
Goddamn.
didn't hear me.
I
You
didn't
got
know
pot food trucks.
Yeah, how are they
Like
that allowed?
buses.
How's that allowed
I don't know how
anymore?
it's allowed, but I was in Williamsburg doing shows, and they had they were
like it's not
out.
allowed.
They were everywhere, dude. They were everywhere. I'll show you pictures. They were like one
Oh, in
looked
New
like
York,
an
not in
ambulance.
Colorado. I was like, yeah, dude,
and
they don't let
then
you just do that.
It was like joints, pot, like regular flour, concentrates, and then there was just dudes just standing with tables, just trying to sell you stuff, like
I've
out of a
definitely
bag.
seen that in New York.
Yeah, wild.
I mean, I've had a guy roll down his window before,
wild.
which kind of hurt my feelings.
Why you?
Yeah, I thought.
Him maybe, but why you?
What made you? I look like an undercover cop.
It was
here.
just regular chocolate
like,
bars. It
yo.
wasn't even pot
Yeah.
chocolate bars.
yo, you want some of this
Yeah,
chocolate?
it was like you just want some
He
Twix,
wasn't-
bro.
He's on my head. He's on my head
Yeah,
on a swivel.
yeah, like that.
Yeah,
He's like, you look like you're looking for something.
yeah. He
But
said, this guy's looking for a chopped cheese or an
Yeah.
But no, you know what used to be? Okay, so this is a kind of a sad story. Well, it's true,
Oh, good.
but my favorite place pre-COVID to do late night, right? There's used to be this pho place. It's still there, Pho 96. They're great. But before COVID, they used to be open till like 3 in the morning. And I would used to go there after shows, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Because, especially cold weather, wintertime.
This would have also been like when you were drinking.
Not necessarily,
No?
but sometimes, yeah. But,
That makes pho better at 3 a.m.
well, I mean, it's good even if you're not
Oh, really?
drunk.
Okay.
Yeah, dude, it's fantastic. But there would always just be like old Vietnamese dudes in there drinking, and they like didn't serve alcohol. So it's like, did they just let these guys just
Bring
bring
their
their
own booze.
booze in here?
Yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
is interesting.
Yeah.
But there would always be, you know, like, and they'd be outside in a big group just smoking the fuck out of some cigarettes, and then
Yeah.
you know come back in and just be hanging out.
Hanging out.
But that was my favorite because yeah, it was pretty cheap too. Like
Our pho is really good here.
yeah,
I think.
it's great.
I think we.
they used, but now I think post COVID, and I guess maybe I should double check, but since COVID, I don't think they're open quite as late anymore. It's just like midnight, which is like, well, I don't even have time
right after shows.
after
and stuff
most
like
shows to hit it, you know.
That. What's your favorite food to get on the road?
My
Post-show.
safest bet is I'm trying to find a really good cheeseburger.
Okay, good cheeseburger.
Because I you know have that fear of getting sick or you
Yeah.
know, so like I love Asian food, but that just I can't take the gamble. I just don't know.
No, you're also gonna fly the next day. You don't want to.
Yeah,
Be shitting your pants.
so I'll stick with I'll try to find. I'll look up best deli in the area.
Okay.
Or best cheeseburger near me, and those will be the two directions that I'll go in.
Yeah.
Usually, but I mean, you know, a cheeseburger is just such a safe, delicious option when you're on the road, and I don't mean always from like fast food. I'm trying to find. You know, I want Uncle Rick in the back.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I want the local cheeseburger. You know, I think it was Anthony Bourdain that once said that he was just a low-down trailer park dirty slut for a cheeseburger.
Yeah, dude.
And,
Is that you,
It was
dude?
relatable.
That's you.
Yeah. And so
Yeah?
I love a good cheeseburger. That would be my go-to, and then after that, it would be some type of sandwiches. I'm a huge Firehouse Subs fan, so
Okay.
I go there pretty often. They're a little expensive, I get it, but they use Boar's Head. It's a steam sub. Steam subs are underrated, underappreciated, and they're nowhere.
Steamed sub.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. Come on, tell me. Where
What
does
is
it bring
it?
you back to?
Dude, oh yeah, Auburn, dude.
Yeah,
exactly.
Mama G's.
Mama G's with the chips. They
Come
used to crank
on,
it.
dog.
They used to crank
Come
it.
on.
Yeah, dude.
Let me tell
Yeah.
y'all something about steam subs that people don't know. They were
That
started
is a
in East
callback.
Tennessee, okay? So people that would not, to me, maybe this is just me, but I would think that steam subs would be like a Northeast thing. Like somebody in a deli somewhere in a city would find out about this thing.
Right.
But no, it was in East Tennessee. A guy at a deli shop, I believe his oven broke, and he was trying to figure out a way to warm these subs in another way, and he used steam.
Bottom, top. What are we talking about? Steam?
I believe it comes from the bottom. I know how they do it. Like at Firehouse Subs, there's going to be like water underneath. Like the old, the old-fashioned way you'd make steam. And then they've got some type of pump. And I don't know if that's air that they're pumping in or what they're doing. But the great thing about a steam sub is you're not going to lose, the bread's not going to be soggy. Your cheese is going to be melted, but it's going to be a softer sandwich.
Right.
And it's just a better, I have never, everything should be steamed. Every sandwich
steam
should be
advocate.
Ever.
No, man, it's the best.
Mama G's, so what, I guess to fill Lizzy in, back in Auburn, there was a sandwich shop called Mama G's, and that's what they were known for. And they had this oven. They would like crank it, and you would see the steam when they would make it. It would be like,
really?
And they would do nachos like that, and they would be really good. It would be like a Doritos.
It'd be Doritos,
and it just had like cheese, pepper jack that they had just sliced on the slicer, and jalapenos, and they would just whip it out real fast.
It's a way to heat the item up.
The Doritos would come out with the melted cheese on them.
Yeah.
But the Dorito would still have a slight crunch.
A good crunch, okay.
God, it's crazy.
It was so good. When I remember they like updated the ovens to get like new ones, and I remember they were like auctioning them off, and people were like bidding. They like, the old school ones to bring them home. Yeah, like different restaurants and just local
so they
people.
Could have them.
Because they used to have, they had like a place that was like basically on campus, and then like right about the end of my career there, I think the university was like, oh, we technically own this land or whatever. So they like kicked them off and they built a new one.
Sounds right for Alabama.
Like a couple blocks away or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right on the edge.
Right. Yeah. Like across the almost caddy corner, I think, from where it used to be or some shit. But they upgraded everything and they got like new ovens and shit. Cause it was like the line would be a problem because they would have to like hand crank each sandwich. But when they closed down, I remember, people were like bidding on these ovens.
Yeah. And they came with spicy mustard, mayo, lettuce, tomato. And they were like on a kind of a short, real stocky hoagie.
Okay.
Yeah,
and they would wrap them in aluminum foil, which just really made it a better experience.
That's the other thing with New York and the East Coast. The bread just hits so much different than it does out here. It's something that I miss for sure.
I agree.
It wasn't a reason to move back for me, but it definitely is a thing I notice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
the
you notice
bagels
certain
got this kind of chewy,
Yeah.
perfect texture in New York City. It is noticeable, particularly for me with the bagels, I can tell.
The rolls, the hoagies, things like that. When you go down to like Atlantic City or anything like that, you'll see too. Philly, stuff like that.
The bread's better in New York. Everything's better in New York.
No, I don't think so. That's not what I'm saying.
No, you guys don't know.
I told you yesterday. It took me 4 hours to get 2 hours to get to one show. Stayed there for a few shows, and then 2 hours to get home. That sucks. It takes me 15 minutes in my car.
Yeah.
Here. It's not all good, and it's not all better.
No. There's a lot of things about Denver I'm gonna miss. This is just a business move,
Yeah.
Denver. I'm gonna miss these wide open spaces.
Yeah, but you're gonna come visit us, and we can go fishing and go hang out. You go do a little golf, little fish, little something else.
Have to find a way to golf because there's no golfing there.
Oh,
but,
there's golf upstate.
Yeah. I mean, I quite the trek to find some golf in New York City. It's not an easy. It's not an easy deal, but I won't be out there forever. That's for sure.
No, and you can do it when you're on the road, which is great.
Yeah, that's right.
Every week. And you really did you start in Alabama?
What?
Comedy.
Yeah. I did. I mean, the first open mic that I'd ever been to was in Denver.
Okay.
And that was the first time that I'd ever been in a community of comedians. But I started comedy on my own in Alabama. Yeah.
Okay, and what did you do in Alabama?
I was the general manager of a bar in Jacksonville, Alabama.
Okay.
Where I went to school at Jacksonville State University. Elliot's familiar with it. The public school of the state.
Yeah.
They let us all in.
They let everybody in. Good.
Yeah, and I had all kinds of country music and stuff come through. It's a pretty wild story, so I'll make it short. But we had the guys that owned the bar there. They also owned a couple places in Atlanta. This place called Smith's Old Bar and then Fox Brothers Barbecue. They're part owners of. And Smith's Old Bar is where a lot of musicians wanted to come through and play some gigs.
That makes sense.
So they'd make you go through Jacksonville, Alabama, this little college town. They'd make you play Brothers, which was like this terrible bar that I ran before you got an opportunity in Atlanta. So Riley Green, Sam Hunt, Drake White, all these guys that have become famous country musicians played at this bar for years and years. Riley Green, who the listeners might know more of than y'all, but he's a pretty famous country singer, was there forever. And I was kind of inspired by them and also annoyed that there was just country music every night. And I love country music, but I was like, if I hear Wagon Wheel one more time, I'm gonna jump out a window. And so
that was the year for it, right?
I did Penny Pictures one night and just did a Derrick Stroup's comedy night. Never met another comedian done comedy before, and I just did like 45 minutes. I did drink back then.
Okay.
So I was completely blackout. I was probably 10 Jaeger bombs deep.
Yeah.
6-7 Williams shots, and I just did like 45 minutes blackout. And
Penny pitcher beers is what you said.
Well, I had to make sure somebody showed up.
Okay, all right.
And
I'm just making sure.
I was the general manager of the bar.
Yeah.
I'm not as dumb as I sound. I was like, we got to get people in here.
Yeah.
Penny pitchers.
Yeah, the
I knew my
cheapest we
friends
can
would
go.
show up. Yeah. So I did that for like 3 or 4 years, about once every 4 months.
Wow.
We'd have Derrick Stroup's comedy night. And
would you switch up your material? Because you thought the same people were coming?
Yeah, a little bit. But it was all local stuff. I talked about the local cops, the regular at the bar we all knew, the guy in the front row. It was all, there was no like smart or cutting edge writing. I mean, I was just trying to find some type of creative release. I wanted to hold a microphone, and I wanted girls to see me talk and be up on stage. And plus, I wanted to do something different than the regular country music. And so I did that for like 3 or 4 years. And then it started to get a little bit of a crowd and a little bit of a gathering. And then I got a couple DUIs, and that kind of forced me into it. And then I moved to Denver. But I'll tell you a quick sidebar that's pretty funny of this. Right after I got my DUIs, I decided, okay, I got to do comedy for a living. I can't do anything else. Like, there's no other job I'll be able to get. And I'm so glad that I convinced myself of this. Yeah. Because, I mean, I was convinced there's no other job in this world I'll be able to get besides comedy after my second DUI. So I hired a buddy of mine. I say hired. Caleb Cargill, a friend of mine. I go, hey, you're my manager, and we're going to take this on together. And I need somebody to represent me. So I'll never forget. We went to the library, to the top floor of the library, which is like had these long tables and stuff. I wore a vest with a tie and some khakis. He dressed up. We went to that top table and we made phone calls. And
you I'm sorry. You wore the tie for the phone calls?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Well, I thought this is the first day I'm a stand-up comedian.
Sure. Yeah,
Got my manager, my roommate Caleb.
Yeah.
It's 2012. It's time to really go after it. Mm-hmm. So we sat in the top of that library and we called like 10 bars, and they all were very confused and did not allow me to ever do comedy there. They didn't even understand. I'm in Alabama. This isn't like Denver where you could just call a brewery and go, hey, we got a show idea.
Yeah.
They were like, you want to do what?
Yeah.
They said, on a Wednesday? You want to come down here and do jokes?
Yeah.
And you'll do them for $34.
Yeah.
And I was like, yep. And I got my representative here, Caleb. We're on speakerphone.
Yeah.
And I mean, I just had no clue at all how to get into comedy. Like, people don't understand in cities like this and other cities throughout America where there's this sign-up list and these avenues.
Yeah.
When you're in Jacksonville, Alabama, I go, well, how the hell do I do that? Well, what do I do? Just shout from the square? You know, how do I get on TV?
People do that in cities too, though.
You do what?
People do that in cities too.
Well,
yeah, true.
Yeah.
So I had no idea. And so that's what led me moving to Denver, and then that's when, I was able to make.
I like this idea that you're calling them and you have your manager on the phone with you. Like, you couldn't have just pretended to be your own manager.
Yeah,
like,
true.
you guys definitely sounded exactly the same. You know what I mean?
Pretty similar.
This isn't like a New York guy being like, listen, I got this kid. He's fantastic. You're going to love him. He can be at your place in 2 hours. Like,
I got this kid.
This guy
is
you.
That's true. And I'm like, here's my manager, Caleb.
Yeah, and he's like,
hey, this is Caleb.
Howdy. Yep, this is Caleb.
Hey, we're a tag team. We're trouble out here.
Yeah. They're hanging up, being like, I don't
vests know. Right now. You probably can't tell from listening, but
you guys are hanging up, and they're just probably like, these 2 gay boys said they wanted to talk about stuff for an hour. I don't really know. Yeah. I hung up on them. Don't worry, we're not gonna have them here.
I mean, this all seems so crazy now until your dreams start coming true. But this is really how it started. I was dating a girl at the time. I had 2 DUIs. I had a crush on her. I wasn't even really dating her. She just allowed me to hang out with her and buy stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
And,
Situation.
I kept trying to date her. She wouldn't. She just wasn't into me. But I told her, I was like, I'm gonna be a stand-up comic one day. And she's like, you're gonna be a stand-up comic? I go, yeah. I go, if it goes right. And I had no idea about how anything would ever go.
Yeah.
And I was like, I should be able to like fly in and out of town. Like I could maybe move to New York City one day. We could have like a normal. And she's like, you don't have a driver's license. She goes, she's like, I just had to pick you up and bring you to this hot dog stand. And like, so you're telling me you're gonna be a stand-up comedian and you think there's a chance one day that you'll be on air? At this point, I'd never been on an airplane.
Yeah.
And I was like, one day I think I could be on airplanes, kind of traveling around, kind of doing like some jokes. And like, she was like, she was from Vermont. And she goes, but I want to live in New York City one day. Like I have a different vision for my life, you know? And she was talking to me like I could never make it out of Jacksonville, Alabama, which at the time there would be no reason why she wouldn't think I couldn't. But I mean, I told her all these plans. I was like, without having a clue how I was going to do them, not even being funny, not being, and in comedy, it takes a little bit of, and that's why when I see younger comics doing insane things, I give them a long leash in the fact it takes a little bit of being delusional.
100%.
Maybe a lot bit at times
to
stick with this and get started in this because it doesn't make any sense. No. And when I was telling her this, she was looking at me like I was an insane person. You know?
Right. And I like that she equated just being able to drive.
Yeah.
With like, what about success? You know, all those successful people that drive all the time.
Well, not having a driver's license in Alabama is
it's debilitating. Yeah.
Yeah, unheard of and impossible.
Right.
There was no Uber and Lyft.
Right.
There was no taxis. That's the hardest thing that people in this world do not believe that some places don't have taxis. Like you'll tell them to their face and they'll go, no, man, no, they're there.
Like, in my town,
you just didn't look hard enough. There's one guy.
I grew up in a town, we grew up pretty close to one another, but the town I grew up had maybe like 30 or 40,000 people, which should be big enough to support a small taxi type business,
Yeah.
And I remember we did have like a taxi, but it was just like a guy.
It was just one dude?
Basically like in a van.
Yeah.
And like he was kind of a taxi, but he was also, I wouldn't have been surprised if he was just a guy that just got like the decal numbers
said taxi?
and just put it on the side of his van. Like whether or not he was legally a taxi.
Yeah.
Probably not in retrospect.
Yeah, he's just a dude.
The same number though.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying I went to a junior college in the town that he went to real college at Auburn. I went to Southern Union.
Southern Union,
and we
baby.
would go downtown, and if you're on all fours, call all fours.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that what they said?
It was like Tiger Cab.
I love that.
And the numbers were like 444. But I'll never forget it because it's the greatest line of all time.
It's incredible.
I mean, I'm 39 years old. I haven't seen
Still
it in
remember
20
it,
years.
yeah.
If you're on all fours, call all fours.
Call all fours.
No, for sure. Yeah, Auburn was the same way though. It was like maybe two dudes with vans or whatever that ran this
But you would
company,
remember it that way, right?
Yeah.
You're throwing up in an alley. You're like, I got 4-4, 4-4. I gotta call them. Yeah,
but we did Auburn did have a taxi service like in 2009, 2010.
Yeah, CSU had one too.
But Jacksonville, Alabama, and Auburn are not the same place.
Right.
it's
I mean,
like
Jacksonville is very rural. Like I went to college with guys that. What's crazy is to go to college and meet people more country than where you came. I'm like from Harvest,
rural,
Alabama.
yeah.
Went to school in Jacksonville State.
Right.
And I was meeting people more country than me in these classrooms, which is not what I anticipated.
Dude, I remember this dude I went to school with was from Slocum, Alabama.
Slocum.
What is that?
I don't even know Slocum.
What is that?
It's like I don't even think they have a traffic light, but I remember meeting that dude in like some sort of a club or whatever, and like I was like, yeah, dude, this is the big city. This
is big city for him.
Auburn,
yeah.
this town of 30,000 people is.
Yeah. That's wild.
Is like.
It felt like it at
time.
times. I mean, when you were downtown, even you
walking
being
around,
where you're from, it felt much bigger. But I mean, I grew up, without, being from Harvest, Alabama. You can really let your imagination run wild.
Right.
It is a farming community, but it is only 9 miles from Huntsville, Alabama. So I grew up in like this perfect dynamic where I grew up out in the country, but the mall and the movie theater and I mean, you know, a town of
big city
150,000 people
amenities.
were just right down the road.
Yeah.
So I am so
you had access
thankful.
to it. You could go and do it.
Because like what, you know, my fiance Alyssa, she's from Kansas. She's from
Yeah.
Iola, Kansas.
Yeah.
She's from a town of 700 and like maybe 1,000 people, something like
wild.
that. They have one A&W root beer, and like, I mean, the first time I ever visited her, I just sat on her porch and I spent a day wondering what they did.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do?
yeah.
What do
You
y'all
know,
do? I'm from
Yeah.
Harvest, Alabama. We could have gone to the. She's not close. She's an hour and a half from a movie theater, from a
Right.
mall, from a. Everything was a field trip for her growing up.
Yeah.
Which is just so interesting. So I should
like
stay,
a ride into town.
Yeah,
Right? Into
I
town.
feel like sometimes when I say Harvest, Alabama, people are like, "Man, this guy's from." I am from a country, but
Right.
Yeah, it's
very close.
basically a suburb of like
he grew
the
up
third
probably
largest
in a more rural area than I did, for the simple fact of how close I was.
to Huntsville.
to
yeah.
like a
Huntsville.
metro. Yeah.
Yeah.
To like
Yeah.
a city.
Whereas I was maybe in a little bigger town, but yeah, it's like an hour for us to get to Huntsville.
Yeah.
Which Florence though is now like a pretty decent sized city.
is, yeah.
I mean it's the college. It's got a college there that's
Growing.
the college is up to like 10,000 students
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, and
Like a small college, yeah. Did you
And,
do a
you
lot
know.
of outdoor activities out there in Alabama? Because you were, I mean, within
yeah.
the city versus not. Like, were you, when you were growing up, were you like fishing? What were you
I
doing?
grew up fishing like almost every weekend of my life.
Really?
My old man owned a bass boat growing up.
Yeah.
And we used to camp at Lake Gunnersville all the time, and I didn't realize that we camped like the hard way until like I got older. I thought it was the only way you camp. We just put up tents, made a fireplace, like you know.
what are you doing now as an adult? You got like an RV or something?
Yeah, well, everybody would act like that was like a hard way of camping because
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you would be camping most people would do it in an RV or get a cabin or
Yeah.
a cottage. And
Yeah.
we just had sleeping bags, your tent,
Tents, yeah.
and a fire, and we would run trot lines. We would ski and fish all day. At the end of the night, we would sit around a fire. My old man would drink beer until he liked us again. You know, I mean, one time, me and my cousin Danny, he took us camping, and you know, it was just my dad out there. You know, he
Yeah.
never brought any friends with him, which I always look back and wonder about. He would just take us, and
Yeah.
we would go to bed, and he would stay up real late. But one time, he made up this story before we went to bed about Gunnersville Jack.
Yeah.
About how he went
Gunnersville
around. About how he went around chopping up kids.
Jesus.
I know.
That's
And
what he
then-
was telling you while you were sleeping in tents?
Me and Danny were like 9 or 10 years old. We'll
That's
go to bed.
not right.
He starts like ruffling stuff outside of the
He's
tent.
drunk,
Oh
moving shit
yeah,
around.
and I mean, we had the biggest breakdown, bawling our eyes out.
Yeah, it sounds like
And this
trauma,
man-
Derrick.
Yeah, and this man
Just thought
still
was
brings
so
it up
funny.
today. Like, I mean, I'll like do something, and he'll be like, "Oh, Gunnersville Jack will make you cry, won't it?" I'm like, I was 9. I was 9, Bill. Like, you can't get drunk off Busch Light and play murderer. Like, that's insane.
It's insane.
And I mean, we were like weeping.
Yeah.
And he was, I mean, he couldn't catch his breath. He was laughing so hard. And it's just like, before the internet, nobody had anything to do.
Nobody could
I'd
Google
like
it.
to
Is
think-
this dude
yeah,
real or not?
This is like 1995. If Bill was able to like at least like play Snake on Nokia, he would have left us alone. But he was just sitting on a log. Like when I get shit faced.
Yeah.
Yeah, once I
Pretend
get
like
a
they're
couple
gonna
more
die.
beers,
Yeah,
and then we'll
a couple
fuck
more
with
beers
these
will make
kids.
those kids piss their sleeping
I'm gonna go
bags.
check
That'll
the
be good.
fishing line, and if there's no fish, I'm gonna fuck with these kids.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, maybe that's why your dad never had friends out
Yeah,
there with
no,
you.
it would make perfect sense for Bill.
mean-
He did all kinds of stuff
Yeah.
like that. He'd come back fishing in the morning,
Yeah.
and he'd go, "Man, I tried to wake y'all up, man. I tried." And I mean, I was like, "No, I was sitting. I heard you leave. You left us here
You did it.
and went fishing
Yeah,
for
did it.
3 hours." And then he'd come back and go, "I was shaking the hell out of that tent. Man. I couldn't get y'all up.
It's your
man."
fault.
Yeah.
So you were
bad.
bass fishing then mostly, or
Bass, crappie, bluegill. You know,
much
depending
whatever.
on my old man's an incredible fisherman, and we would just depending on the time of year.
Yeah,
You know, crappie is
seasonally.
my best memories and my favorite fish to fish for. I have a ton of great memories with my old man with a bucket of minnows, just a bobber, bologna
Yeah.
sandwiches, and some Mountain Dew on a bass boat, sitting on just fishing all day.
Right.
Really, I can remember, you know, being like 15 or 16 years old and him asking me to go fishing, and me starting to turn him down.
Yeah.
And it like kind of hurting his feelings. But I had a younger brother coming up who he started to take. But he told me, you know, I was like, "I'm sorry, I have this going on. I have this," and he was like, "No, man, you know, I knew this day would come. He's like, you know, every kid gets tired of fishing with their old man, you know, eventually.
Yeah.
And I didn't fish with him from like the age of 18 until like the age of like 28.
Yeah.
And then now, if he called me tomorrow, I'd drive across the country
to go fishing.
Oh yeah.
He'd probably still scare you though.
Yeah,
in that tent. I think he would.
No, I don't know.
I think you'd fall asleep in the tent and then you'd hear shaking and he might still scare you.
I mess with him. He'd fall asleep sitting on the log.
Yeah, you can fuck with him.
Holding a cigarette. You know.
That's great. I love that.
Yeah, no, great memories growing up. And then even when I went to college and stuff, Alabama's such an outdoor recreational state. We're all very, you know,
pretty good fishing, like pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, I had 2 kayaks till I moved out here, and I had always had an extra one, so you could never tell me no. You know,
that's good
Dude,
idea.
I got the canoe on my car.
He's
right
got a
now,
canoe
dude.
on the car right now.
Yeah, and so there's just all these perfect creeks and rivers and streams. And before I moved out here, my number one hobby, I mean, I didn't golf at all till I moved to Colorado. I did growing up, but when I lived in Alabama, it was all about fishing. It was all about kayaking, being on a canoe, camping, being outdoors.
You kind of have to be. It's so hot. Really.
Yeah.
Right. There's not
golf
much
wasn't
to
really on me and my buddies' radar that much. You know,
Right.
It was a different type of hang.
So if you could pick anything right now to go do outside, it's fishing, right? Is that the number
it'd be
one?
A toss-up. I'm in the golf era of my life.
Oh, I know.
I'm in my golf era.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm almost 40 now.
So now
It's
you're a
just
golf
like,
boy.
I'm really, really into it, and I got all these comedians in Denver. We've got this really tight group that we all like to golf together.
I know, that's so cute.
It's really fun. I don't think anywhere else in the country has this golf, you know, community like we've got as comedians that we started about 3 or 4. We started during the quarantine.
Yeah.
And it's a really cool.
And it
thing.
seems like you guys are all getting better at it too.
Oh yeah, I mean everybody
playing
is.
all the
I'm
time.
probably getting better at the slowest rate, but
Oh, okay. Good.
but everybody is
Yeah.
getting better at it. But I do miss the water a lot. Like I miss it big time. I mean, I say that if there was probably somewhere around here to fish, I would have that itch. You know, back again.
We'll go fishing before you leave.
Yeah, I would love that.
We'll go fishing before you leave.
I mean, he's tried to take me. I mean, we've
know.
set
I know.
up several dates.
I'm better.
canceled on.
I'll do. I mean, I booked this, so I can book a fishing trip. Plus, we got a couple other.
I mean, you
people
warned
who
me
wanna
though.
go
You were
fish.
like, just keep texting me.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
gonna go some of these
Yeah.
times. you
I'll
know?
just. Yeah, I can do that. That's easy. You ask
Yeah.
any of my really close friends, I'll just call them until they finally pick up.
Yeah, good.
That's
Good.
what
It feels so gross being like, I'm so busy.
It's a good thing, Derrick. It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
We're
all proud of you. That's
no,
not,
I
you know.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like, I don't like post online, like, I mean, I do my dates, but
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
like walk people through my days like some people
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
And if I did that, maybe people would be like, this is actually probably unhealthy. I mean, I'm in the air more than I'm on the ground, but
Of course.
I would love a fishing
Yeah.
date. That would be fun.
There's trout out here. Yeah, dude. Especially too.
Because that water fucking stinks in New York. The Hudson River. I grew up on the
I'm
Hudson
not
River.
gonna- Yeah. Oh, I would love to go to
gross.
Central Park and fish though. That
You
seems
can
cool.
fish. You know what
Can
I've
you
heard
do
is
that?
actually decent fishing in New York is if you go into the ocean.
Oh,
Oh, sick.
Yeah,
That's
I
cool.
would love that. I love fishing in the ocean too.
New York
'Cause, yeah,
Comedy
there's
Club
like-
has an Atlantic City one.
There's like
Yeah.
a good striped bass run right there into the bay. You can like fish
Oh, I
for
would
like
love
mackerel
that.
and striped bass and
Striped
shit.
bass
just
is
right.
actually one of the more fun fish.
Yeah.
As you know, I mean, they fight like, I mean,
Yeah.
they'll feed on top water, which is really fun.
Yeah,
yeah.
So
You can see
you'll
'em-
watch them just.
yeah.
Yeah, if we get some
Crush a
gigs,
bait.
we'll come. We'll figure out a good time and come
Dude,
visit. 'cause-
honestly, we should because what we can do because I have like travel fishing gear is this is like a hack that I found is because it's like if you hire like a fishing guide, it's like pretty expensive.
Oh yeah, I bet.
But if you just call the marinas and you're
Oh,
just
they'll
like,
just-
hey,
you
do you guys
just
just
tell 'em?
rent boats? And then they're like, yeah, you can rent a boat. Like, do you have a boating license? Which,
Yeah.
like, I think I still do.
yeah, you're
Sure.
like, mine's downloading
yeah,
right
yeah,
now online.
yeah. He doesn't have a driver's license, boating license,
No.
golf license. Can you
uh,
drive the golf cars?
But you can
Yeah,
rent
Oh,
for
that's
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, and all my friends actually let me drive the golf cart when we're at the golf course. because that is the only time.
That's your only practice?
Brad Galley would tell you I threw a fit one time.
Yeah.
He was driving, and I went, "This is the only time I get to drive anything." And I go, "And you want to drive?" I go, "You drove us here in a real car." And he was like,
"You're gonna take that away from me?"
Yeah, and he's like, "Okay," you know him. He was like, "My God, Stroup."
Buddy.
Yeah, I am sorry. I was like, Jesus.
Yeah. We could go do shows down at Atlantic. I think
Yeah,
they
we
call
can
it
rent a
Atlantic
boat.
City Comedy Club.
We can rent a
I'm
boat
there
and
tomorrow,
go.
and I'm in Atlantic City tomorrow.
Are you? At the Tropicana at the Atlantic City.
I'm with Nate Bargatze at
Okay.
somewhere in Atlantic City.
Yeah.
Which I'm very excited. I've never been to Atlantic City.
It's cool.
Yeah.
This is the time to go to.
It's like
And I'm not a
casino
gambler,
town, right?
so it's a safe trip.
You've been to Vegas a million times. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
No, but
I
I'm
don't
just saying,
gamble
like,
either.
I'm just,
Yeah.
but I do like to play blackjack a little bit. Who
Sure.
doesn't? You know what I mean?
Oh, I love
With
blackjack.
edibles,
Yeah.
try not to.
Which,
you know.
yeah,
hang out.
usually, I mean, I don't gamble as somebody that used to be.
He's weird with
alcoholic.
money. I'm not. I'll spend it.
No, I just stay away from all
Blackjack,
addictive
go.
activities. It's less of a money thing and more of a, I don't want to lose the house. you
Yeah.
know?
Quite literally.
I don't want to get in too deep, and I just, if I did it with booze, I could probably do it with gambling.
I'm
what I
sure.
mean?
Yeah.
But a lot of times,
I have self-control. That's what he just said to me. I don't, Elliot. I
it's
don't
not
have
even that.
self-control.
I don't. That's why I'm staying away from it. That's why I'm telling you I never do it, because I know that I'd be like, man, I'm doing pretty good.
I'm doing good.
Hit
Keep
the
it rolling.
ATM. But no, you can get what I found, and the only times that I've ever gambled, which it's fun and I enjoy it because it's really low stakes, is if you sign up for like their membership or whatever, and or it's your birthday, and if it's on the same day, they just give you free money to gamble with.
That's great.
Cool.
So I remember I went to like multiple casinos when I was in California on my birthday, and I was like, "Oh, do you have like a membership club?" And they're like, "Yeah, you can sign up for free, and you get, like $10 worth of chips."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, it's also my birthday." And they're like, "Oh, well, we give you another like $20 or
Come
whatever."
on, man. You can't
That's
beat
good.
that.
That's great.
And then
Yeah,
at the
that's
time,
great.
I was like, I was drinking, and so
I spend that so fast though.
I
$30
went, but you get free booze if you're like a slot machine.
at
or
your
something.
table. Pennies.
So
penny
we went,
slots.
so we hit the penny slots for like an hour, me and my buddy, and just like, all right, we're just gonna get a couple beers in us.
Yeah.
Fucking pull the lever, order a beer.
Booze it up, dude. I love
And
that.
it takes forever to spend $20.
Yeah.
And then I
When
actually
it's
got
pennies.
up for a minute, and I was like, all
He
right, I'm
knows because he
fucking
was
cashing
selling
out.
penny beers. How much?
penny pitchers.
Penny pitchers.
Were they
not even
full size
not
or
even
were they-
real beers.
No,
they were full
pitchers of
pitchers for pennies.
For pennies.
Yeah,
That's
man,
great.
you're a manager, huh? You're
No,
good.
I
That's a
didn't come up
good
with that
manager.
special. That bar had ran that before.
Okay, they already
Because
did it.
before
They
I
already
ever
did it.
worked out there,
Yeah.
I got kicked out one time because
Because of the special.
because they had penny pitchers, and I gave the bartender a nickel, and I went, "That's 5 times on the
Yeah.
tip." And,
They didn't think
hated
that was fun. Yeah. They were
No, I
like,
remember
tip me
seeing-
$5
and
now.
usually there's like a
asshole."
cover, like there's like a cover or something when you do that kind of
Right.
thing.
Yeah,
so
there
you actually
usually
make
is.
money.
What it'll be is a $10 cover. I didn't do that. I mean, mine was a free for all.
Yeah.
But yeah, $10 cover penny pitchers.
That's incredible.
Something like that. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, Atlantic City was
I think
fun.
about
This is the
drinking,
time right
the
now.
drinking
too.
specials when I was in college, and it's just a wonder that more people didn't die.
We had when I ran the bar from 11 to midnight on Wednesday nights, we would do $3 you call it. So you could come in for $3, you could choose whatever you wanted.
What?
We didn't take anything off. You could get a shot of Patron for $3
Really?
from 11 to midnight. And it ended up, it was a special that I came up with because we were having a hard time in the college town that we were in. There was about 7,000 people, and everybody, we all did the bar the same way. We went at about midnight, 12:30, and we went in blackout and saw who we wanted to see, and we were out by 1:30. It was an hour-long experience. in my
Right,
town.
right, right.
You get really turned.
Yeah, so
Pre-game real hard.
bringing the kids in at 10:30 or at 11 because of that special, got them in the door, got them in longer, created
Right.
more sales and that sort of thing.
Well, then you also sell some of the booze that you're not selling as
Yeah.
as often, right? Because
For sure.
there's not a lot of people ordering Patron on its own,
Yeah.
right? Like, so it's like you still
That's
get
crazy.
through
Yeah,
it.
I remember doing the bar near me did 32-ounce well drinks for $3 on like a weekday, and it was like a happy
32
hour
ounces. I mean,
special.
That's not okay.
that's a pitcher. I know that's crazy.
But
Is
I
that
remember
crazy?
getting like 30, being like, "Yo, let me get 2 gin and tonics," and I'd get there right before the special ended because it was a happy hour thing. It ended at like 6 or whatever, and then nothing similar vibe. You'd be stuck there right when the special ended, and then there's nobody really comes to the bar for another like hour or two.
That's
you know?
wild.
And I remember showing up and ordering 2 right at the buzzer, and then it's like,
Yeah.
I'm just sitting here for like an hour drinking a gallon of gin and tonic. You know?
Yeah.
Like
Have you
waiting
ever been
for-
to the Rio here in Denver? They do the
oh
Rio.
yeah, the margarita.
The margarita?
Yeah.
They have 3 margarita limit, and the reason I'd never been to the one in Denver, but Fort Collins there was one like right around the corner from Comedy Fort. And one time we were sitting there, we were drinking the margaritas, and when you think it's only 3, you're like, I can do 3. This is crazy, you know. But by the end of your third, you're like, okay.
No,
I watched a guy. He went 3. Guy brought him over, and he just chugged all 3 and walked out of the bar. And I was like, Jesus, dude,
That is insane.
That's a pregame, dude. Like,
yeah, that's crazy.
just a.
But we survived.
One more.
You know?
I think some people would say that's a cry for help.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't. Who. Probably.
I just really liked
probably.
Tonic, you know, personally.
yeah. He would just. You probably don't even feel the tequila by the time you get to the next bar. You're already on your next drink at the next.
I'm
You're
just
on your
more
fourth
impressed
drink.
with how he didn't get brain freeze. You know.
Well, because it wasn't. It's
a
not
slushy
just the slushy
kind. Yeah,
ones.
it
It's
was
I
not
mean,
the
I
slushy
look
ones.
back on the amount that I drank, and it makes me gag almost.
Yeah.
Dude. I remember me and you were in Jackson. I still don't remember, but remember that we drank a lot.
Yeah.
When we were down there, because they were just like, yeah, as much as you want. Because that was like
that's the bar I ran. Yeah.
that was the worst thing to tell me as a comic that was there early. Is they're like, yeah, you can just
Open
have
tab.
as much beer on draft as you want.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, for real? They're like, yep.
That's that mindset though. Then you're like, how many? If I'm not,
And
if
they're
I'm
like,
not drinking
I
fast
remember they
enough,
started
then
putting
I'm
in smaller cups. I don't know if that was
Yeah.
just for me or if that was for everybody, but
Yeah, no, that's
after
you.
a certain time, they were like, okay, we're gonna start giving you like a
That's
10
that's
ounce
That
pour.
was you,
It's
dude.
We almost got arrested at Waffle
Yeah.
House.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
That's
were
that
so
night.
drunk they
you
threw us
almost
out
got
of the
arrested at Waffle House.
Yeah. So what happened?
Tell this story quick, and we'll wrap it.
It's not really a long story. I went outside to smoke a cigarette, and I thought they thought
Yeah.
I was leaving, and I took major offense to that.
Yeah, we all went out to smoke a cigarette.
Yeah.
and
Oh,
they were
that
like,
you
they
were,
were like,
like,
are y'all gonna
leaving the
pay?
tab.
And we were like, then we still have food in there to eat.
Yeah, yeah.
You just wanted mid
Yeah, we were
breakfast.
Lizzie, we were gone.
We were
Okay.
so drunk.
We were in outer space.
Well, and before this, I had lost y'all, and I remember just wandering around for what felt like a long ass time, and then finally I was like, "Oh, Stroup, I found you!" And
Yeah.
they're like, "We're going to Waffle House." And I was like, "This is perfect."
God damn,
And
dude.
it's a Waffle House that I'd gone to for a decade. I lived across the street from this Waffle House.
Right.
And everybody knows I love Waffle House. I have a framed picture in my dining room of Waffle House. And we went there and we just had a mid-meal cigarette.
Yeah.
As you
And-
do when you're like 15 beers deep.
Yeah.
When
And
they
I
won't
took-
let you smoke in the
and I
Waffle
took
House.
Major exception. We can't
What-
sit here and act like
You were fired up.
I was
You were
very
fired.
fired.
But also, they were rude about it. They were like, "You guys can't just ditch on your bill." And we're like, "Dude, we're sitting like right."
Yeah, we were right there by the door.
I was like, "We're just sitting."
Not
literally
like walking away, not like taking off. And I mean, I snapped on them. And so then they just called the cops, which was a wild move because
That's a
we
move.
weren't quite there yet.
No, we
Yeah,
really
yeah.
weren't that rowdy for the cops to be called. They were
Yeah.
just like, I could tell they had had a night. They're like, "We're not dealing
Yeah,
with
yeah,
this."
yeah.
Like, we're
And so the
calling them
cop-
now.
The
Damn,
cops
dude.
showed up, and like I'm just out there smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
Like, hey,
then-
listen.
The whole thing, and I didn't really remember. I think it finally was just like, wait a minute, y'all just think we're not going to pay? Like
Yeah,
here's money. Y'all can just
yeah.
That's crazy.
And that was it. Is they thought we weren't
right.
going to pay?
You could have just
but
paid
really,
the bill.
more than that, they're like they wanted us to pay and leave, and they're
Yeah.
like, no, please don't come back.
And you were
Yeah,
putting
you're
you
all
were putting your
drunk
foot
and rowdy.
down. You were putting your foot down. You were like,
Putting my foot down is one way to say it.
okay,
I think I was talking a lot of shit.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Because I mean, I remember that. I can't say I remember everything, but I remember being very upset, like very offended.
Sure.
You know, nobody gets more offended than somebody who's blackout.
No, of course.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't.
And we were like, where are we going to go?
You think
Yeah,
I'm an
yeah.
you think I'm an asshole? You're an asshole.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, it's
yeah.
a very
Yeah, yeah,
like
that's
that.
right.
You know
But yeah,
that
they called the
feeling.
cops, which was a wild escalation, I thought. But in retrospect, we were very, very drunk.
Oh, I mean, just who knows
And
what
I was
looked like.
full Hawkburns attire. Like I was wearing a cutoff sleeve shirt, and
Yes,
like
he
I
was.
had the
And a
facial hair,
cowboy hat.
and I was probably playing just like real outlaw shit. I was probably playing like Hank Williams or something, or like the Waffle House specific songs that everyone hates. Like
Yeah.
I was probably a menace on the jukebox, and they were like, "Yeah, get these."
Oh yeah, they were like, we were ready to call the
I'm gonna tell
cops.
you, he did the
Get him
most.
outta here.
He did the most. I mean, it was like the coolest thing ever. We're driving down the interstate, and we're both trying not to puke on each other.
Okay.
We were so
It's like
hungry.
100
Incredible.
degrees, and we're just riding to the
Yeah.
next gig.
And my AC like can barely keep up. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
turned
And we're
all the
driving
way up.
by Gunnersville Lake, which is the lake that I mentioned earlier that I grew up on. It's in between
Yeah.
where I went to college and where I grew up. It's actually almost directly in between. It's a huge lake. We're driving beside it.
Tennessee River.
He just pulls right into one of the boat ramps, and he's like, "Hey man, I gotta jump in.
Yeah,
He goes,
dying.
I'm really struggling. And he goes, I'm hurting bad, Derrick. And he goes, I got to get into this water.
It's true.
And no, it was just hot. It just, I mean, I can't, I don't know how to explain this.
It was just heat everywhere.
I don't drink anymore. And this is like, I'm so glad I don't ever have to deal with this again. You couldn't get rid of this hangover.
Yeah.
It was wearing us out. It was so heavy.
And we had eaten like barbecue. We had really tried
so
hard.
Heavy. It hurt so bad. And he just went off that dock, took his shirt off, and took everything he owned off besides his shorts, and he jumped into Guntersville Lake like a baptism of he just swam in it and just took it in. And I jumped in too, I believe. I thought,
we both got in, because then I remember we were thinking like it was so hot that we had to like get into like chest deep water, and then your waist was cold.
Yeah.
So we got
like
out
these
to where
boaters
like,
coming up and stuff, and I can see them. They're like looking around for our boat.
Boys doing out
walked
here.
right in
man.
off the
Kind
ramp.
of Brokeback Mountain shit.
Man, we just
But it was what we needed. It really was.
it really was. It
Damn.
really, it was the same as taking a shower.
That's incredible.
It was the same kind of
Yeah.
pullback.
That's
boom.
cold plunges. That's what you were doing. You're doing the same thing as Joe.
It was warm.
Right? It was warm.
Like
it was lukewarm.
warm.
It was
cold
as
plunge.
hot as it could be.
It was so hot. Barely even refreshing.
Incredible. Incredible. I love that so much. We could talk for hours. I know that. But you have to go.
I have to catch a
That
flight.
so much
is
for joining
okay.
us.
But thank you so much for joining us.
Tell
Truly.
the people where to find you.
Yeah,
online.
what's the easiest stuff?
At Derrick Yells is my Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where. And then Derrick Stroup Comedy is going to be my website. That's got all my dates.
Fantastic, Derrick Stroup Comedy.
Yeah, and I'm always
Coming
somewhere.
to a city
so
near you.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Thank y'all so much for having me. This
Of
was
course.
so much fun.
Thanks for having me, dude.
I
It's
I
silly.
wish I didn't have to get out of
That's
here.
okay. We'll
No,
get
it's
you
all
back
good.
when you come back, because we'll go
Absolutely, you will.
fishing and we'll do.
Yeah.
We'll do more stuff with
Or
you.
we'll come to New York.
Do your We'll come
I
to
would
New
love
York.
that.
I'm at Mr. Mike Hawkburns on pretty much everything. And on TikTok I'm Mike Hawkburns, and the garden's popping off. You can hear about my war with the Japanese Beatles.
Oh. There we go. Could cut that part.
My war with the
I know.
Japanese
Can we
Beatles.
bleep that part? No, I'm at Lizzy Wolfson. Also check out our YouTube at Lizzy Wolfson Comedy for all of our episodes, for videos of our episodes. Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe on all of the things: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Patreon.
Patreon. And big thanks to Dude IDK Studios.
Yep.
For hosting us and recording.
you.
Extra episodes on Patreon and extra videos. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
bye-bye.
Thank you.